Ridge Parkway mile marker. Listen, no car sounds. Well, look at this. Woo! Bzz. Into Virginia. Sheriff Taylor's car. Just kidding. Among the many things I can say about Sparta, North Carolina, after being here for nearly 12 hours, is that the breakfast on Main Street, oh, so good, so full. Fresh oatmeal with fresh cut apples and granola. I had a breakfast sandwich which was bacon and eggs on some bread and a cup of coffee, very good coffee. And it's a misty, not quite rainy, just a cloudy and misty day, so I think the Blue Ridge Parkway is going to be great today. And speaking of the Blue Ridge Parkway, here's the decision. Leaving Sparta, we're going a little bit back on the Blue Ridge Parkway on North Carolina 18 to a spot on the parkway that is between where I left yesterday and Sparta. So basically what this means is I'm backtracking about 20 miles of the parkway, but I will have missed about 43 miles of the parkway. So this trip is not the entire parkway. We're missing a 43-mile chunk. But what that does is it catches me up to the actual pace that this was supposed to be. So we enjoyed Sparta, had a great breakfast, had a really great place to stay. The weather is overcast today. It will probably rain later in the evening, but maybe not right now. The mist has lifted, but I'm hoping that up in the mountains where the Blue Ridge Parkway is, that there'll be some mist there. But whatever it is, I'm looking forward to today. It's going to be the parkway in a different kind of light. So here we go, about 20 more miles down this little road to the parkway. So here's how this works. The spot I had to abandon the parkway last night because of time was milepost 291, way before the intended exit at 229. I wanted to go back to that point and resume this morning, but to avoid yet another day of being behind schedule, I decided to only go back to here, milepost 248. The bad news is that means over 40 miles of the parkway will be missed on this trip. The good news is that we'll soon be back on track and heading to tonight's destination, a bed and breakfast in the town of Cana, Virginia. Even better, when we reached the parkway, it turned out that, through an amazing coincidence, this last-minute shuffle wasn't as severe as it seemed anyway. I hear you complaining. Jeremy, you missed part of the parkway. You said you're going to do all of it, and you missed part of it. Well, look at this. Just got on the parkway over here from Highway 18. We're going north that way. A big part of the parkway is actually closed. The part that I missed last night, the 43 miles, like half of it or something is closed anyway right now for some construction or something. So, what I have to say to you is two things. Number one, number two, see? Sometimes the travel gods, always if you wait long enough, the travel gods have got a plan for you. So there you go. Didn't really miss as much as you thought, as much as I thought. Anyway, that is north. Now the trip continues. The Blue Ridge Parkway into Virginia and who knows where. When I was talking, did a car just come out of the closed road? Now I'm confused. Let's just get out of here. I haven't yet talked about one of my favorite aspects of the Blue Ridge Parkway, something that helps you mark your progress and kind of understand where you are and what's coming up. This, the wonderful Blue Ridge Parkway mile marker. All of these mile markers are about like this. I think I've seen different colors. Maybe they're all like this, I'm not sure. I thought I saw brown ones down south, but anyway, 245. So the way you know what's going on is you know what your mile marker is. There's one of these at every mile. The guidebooks I bought and all the maps, everything of this, always talk about things in relation to what mile marker they are. So 245.3, there's a pull-out that's blah, 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 whatever. They go from north to south. So we started at 469, I think is the last mile. And we're going north. As we go north, the numbers go down. So, the Blue Ridge Parkway mile markers. That's how you know where you are. All right, this is Basin Cove Overlook with one of the great trees of the park's overlooks. What a great time of year to see it too. I bet it's different in different times of year, but there's still a bunch of pine cones on it. Look at the amazing branches. And look at the view behind it. I've not seen any other cars yet on the Blue Ridge Parkway so far today. Zero. This may be a part of the parkway that doesn't have a lot of people. Well, well. First one of these on the parkway for me. A cemetery. Fitting the more overcast, somber mood of the weather. Probably not any Larsons in here, but let's see what we got. 1937, 1938. It's also private land, like this is all fenced in here. Parkway is right there. All this is fenced in with cows and stuff. Over here on one side are the newer ones. Let's see when these are from. Wyatt and Blevins. W.C. Blevins, 1941, and Pearl Yu, wife of W.C. Blevins, 1958. 5 days after her birthday, she died. Listen, no car sounds, just distant birds. These old gnarled trees, these old gnarled gravestones, and this great wooden fence with rusty nails and all kinds of cool stuff. And clean air. Oh, here comes a car, disturbing my reverie. There's always one. In the early 1900s, a guy named Martin Brinegar came here and built a cabin. And he and his wife had 3 children, and they lived here for a long time. Martin sold soap, and he sold shoes that he made for $1 a piece or $1 a pair, and various things like that. May apples and blackberries. And the cabin is still here. Here are the Brinegars. Not the early 1900s, 1876, Martin Brinegar purchased his 120-acre farm for $200. He was 21, she was 16, and you can still go see the Brinegar cabin now. Martin died in 1925 when he was 68 years old because he went to church in a terrible rainstorm and he got pneumonia and died 8 days later. His wife lived here for another 10 years, and then in 1935, North Carolina bought the little buildings and the land, and now it's a mountain home for everyone. And there are festivals and things to do here, but not right now. Not here in November. But there it is. There's the cabin that Martin built. An outdoor pantry. There's the pantry. An old picture of that. So this thing has a basement down below the ground, so cabbages and onions and apples and stuff would be kept from freezing because they'd be below in the ground. Genius. Ooh, look at these. Something's growing here. It's not all death and destruction here in November. I guess I can't go on this porch because it's off season. It's closed. Just kidding. Seems sturdy. If you come to the Blue Ridge Parkway and you go to the Brinegar cabin, don't carve your name in the wood. This is old wood. Humans. See if we can see anything inside. Wow. I could live there. I'd live in a place like that. It's cold in winter, but you make do. It's warm in summer, but you're out doing stuff. See if we can learn anything about Martin and his shoe making. Martin Brinegar made shoes for his family and neighbors. His nephew Sherman remembered many times seeing his Uncle Martin working by the light coming in through the window. Martin charged $1, more or less, for a pair of shoes. He could finish a pair in about 2 weeks. Wow. He traced the person's foot on paper, cut out a pattern, and used a shoe knife. Wonder if any of Martin's shoes still exist in a museum somewhere. And down the hill, something for summer, the natural refrigerator. So this is where they got their water from. There was a spring inside this little building. They built a little structure over the spring, and it was cool water, so they would put their dairy and stuff right in the water, and they would use the water for drinking and stuff. They would carry it up. So the water comes in through there. Certainly cool now. It goes in there. So the sign says many times a day they would walk up and down this little hill to take buckets of water up for cooking and washing and cleaning and stuff. Not a bad life, huh? All right, well, there you go. Brinegar's cabin. A great little thing to see here right before crossing into Virginia on the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're going to hit Virginia soon. This area here is called Devil's Garden because it's kind of rough, a lot of rocks here, and it's said that only the devil could consider this lovely like a garden. And someone seems to have taken exception to that. Perhaps the devil himself or herself. The sign is gone. The devil said, "Name that after me. Watch this." Boom. Down south, people put dollar bills. There was like money growing on the Blue Ridge Parkway, right in the sign. Up here, no signs at all. Out here, you can see the very strange Stone Mountain, which was created by intense pressure and heat within the earth a long time ago, and now has been eroded so you can see the rock that the pressure created. My guidebook says that this is a true monadnock. I don't know what that is. Anyway, here's a true monadnock, or monadnock, or monadnick. I don't know what it is, but here it is, Stone Mountain. A monadnock is a big piece of rock that rises from the surrounding area. It's not a regular mountain, it's just a piece of hard rock that didn't erode with the rest of the landscape. Other examples are the other Stone Mountain near Atlanta, Uluru in Australia, and Monadnock Mountain in New Hampshire, which started the name. So now you know. I've been wanting to get my hike on today. I mean my short, simple little hike, because it's a road trip, but haven't yet, but until now. Here we go. Little Glade Mill Pond. Here is Little Glade Mill Pond. And there's a little trail that goes around it. A very short trail, about 600 meters, like 0.3 miles. So let's go. How about we go to the other side and then we swim back? You first. Maybe I can anoint this trip, splash some of this water on my face. Where I grew up in Georgia, there was a creek just like this, about this size, right behind my house, like at the end of the property. So I know creeks. Let me see if I can get down and anoint my face and avoid the water moccasins and copperheads. Woo! Here we go. Ah. It's a trip. Pa, 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 pa. I wonder what wildlife exists down in here. I don't see anything, but I bet there's stuff down there. I bet there's frogs and snakes and, alligators and dragons and all kinds of cool stuff. I guess that's about it. Well, that was nice. What a nice place to be. All right, just past Highway 21, US Highway 21, which means from this point forward, this is the original plan for today. So the part that we made up is over. So on to Virginia. This is it, the only state line crossing on the entire Blue Ridge Parkway into Virginia. Here we go, a new state, the last state. And I think it's lunchtime. Let's go find a picnic table somewhere. This is one of the most important places on the Blue Ridge Parkway, especially for me. It's the Blue Ridge Music Center. I actually like Blue Ridge Appalachian type music, that old folk music. Give me some Doc Boggs, give me some Clarence Ashley, that was Tennessee. Give me some Bascom Lamar Lunsford music, banjo music from the 1920s, and I'm a happy guy. But it's closed for the season. This is the type of thing you see on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I'm very happy to be here in this season. Music Center Road, though, unfortunately, not open for us today. So someday I'll need to come back here because I want to see about Blue Ridge music. We took a gravel side road from the Music Center, hoping to find a picnic table for lunch. There were none, just a local resident bounding through the fields. Back on the parkway, we gave up on a picnic table and chose a scenic pullout for an in-car meal. Okay, it's about an hour and a half after that little walk around the pond, and that is the last place that I saw any picnic table on the whole Blue Ridge Parkway. So had to eat in the car today, which is all right. But now I'm eating a cookie called my girlfriend's peanut butter cookie or something like that from the little coffee shop we ate breakfast in this morning in Sparta. So that was today's lunch. $2.50 for this cookie and tasty. The other thing is, I haven't seen a bathroom stop recently. And that's been even farther back since that pond. So what I'm trying to say is the facilities on the Blue Ridge Parkway can be few and far between. That can be part of the charm. But, you know, a bathroom stop every 10, 20 miles, that would be all right. Just little huts with the little pit toilet. And I like this view to this one huge misty mountain in the far distance, just visible in the haze. In a big contrast to the last 2 days, we turned off the Blue Ridge Parkway before 3 o'clock today, going down some spectacularly winding local mountain roads to our bed and breakfast in Cana, Virginia. The couple who rented out their upper floor to travelers were, like their chickens, very gracious in letting us check in early. They, the people, not the chickens, recommended the nearby city of Mount Airy, back across the North Carolina border, for dinner. By then it was dark and rainy, the onset of Tropical Storm Nicole, which had already wreaked havoc in Florida. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon, and special thanks to John Arne Hansen. Okay, I'm in a Mexican restaurant in Mount Airy, North Carolina. My face is covered with llama spit. That's a true story, it's a long story. And I'm eating Mexican food for dinner. And tomorrow should be rainy and misty on the parkway. I think the next 2 days are going to be a lot of kind of drizzle and mist, which I think is going to be very atmospheric. I'm going to eat here and then I go back to the bed and breakfast room and, you know, research, by which I mean play Andy Griffith trivia. This town is where Andy Griffith was born or grew up or something. So the Andy Griffith Show is big here. Everything's Mayberry and stuff like that. His car is here. Sheriff Taylor's car. Tomorrow, the tropical storm arrives for real. A dense fog covers the parkway, and then howling wind and rain turn a normally gentle drive into a feat of strength and ingenuity. I wanted an exciting finish to this trip, but I never expected this. See you then.